It's Friday and time to share some time with our life coach, Dieter Powles. And our subject today, just a little topic, forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah.
This is a tough one.
It's a hard one when it comes to letting go.
Yeah, you say that forgiveness is actually a gift to ourselves. What do you mean?
Ultimately, I would even call it an act of love, self-love. Because when we hold on to feelings like resentment and anger and even hate over a prolonged period of time, it will influence our biochemistry, which will lead to diseases and so forth. Just like stress will attack your immune system over a long period of time, the same goes for these emotions.
Yeah, that makes sense because people are very familiar with people saying stress can really hurt you, your health.
Yeah.
And so you're pretty much saying the same thing if you keep that harbored inside.
Yeah, those negative emotions.
But you don't forget, do you?
We don't forget. When it comes to the process of forgiveness, our mind might not be our best ally. Because the moment we start reliving these memories, it is like putting oil on fire. So what we want to really find out is how can we kind of bypass our minds and really get in touch with the emotion. And that's at that level that we can release the pain, is at the emotional level first.
And that has to be difficult because every time you remember it, you do get in touch with those emotions again and then you relive it again. But then you're supposed to let it go and you're supposed to forgive everyone. It's difficult.
It is very difficult. But if you think about, if I press this pen real hard until my fingers start hurting,
right.
If I want to stop my fingers hurting, the only way I can do this is how? Is relax and let go. So we need to relax into the emotions, and that's the only way we can let go.
What about horrific events in our history, in any society's history that are actually just horrible things that have happened? You also say that you have to separate the event, right?
In order to give forgiveness a chance, we want to separate the behavior from the individual. You raised two children. I'm sure there were times when they were growing up that they did some things that you did not approve of, but yet you accepted them as
Right. That's why I always said you're a good boy, but you did a bad thing.
That's right. You separate it. When it comes to forgiveness, we want to separate the behavior from the person.
And I've heard of people that were able to forgive maybe someone that has killed even a family member of theirs. It just seems unbelievable. But apparently very liberating, right?
It is very liberating, so it is something we have to do for ourselves, first and foremost. Because we cannot control the behavior or the thoughts of other people.
And when you coach people, do you see often when people are holding on and harboring anger and guilt and those kind of things, and you have to start from that place? You have to give this up or I can't help you go forward.
Think about the pen. I ask people, how many people do you need to forgive? Because they're holding on to that anger, and they will look for experiences to express that anger in their lives. So when we talk about forgiveness as a process, the first thing we mentioned was awareness.
Yes,
right?
Awareness.
We want to be aware.
We are not our emotions.
We are not our emotions. We are not our thoughts. You might have anger within you. You might have angry thoughts, but it doesn't mean you are an angry human being. So if you start identifying the emotion with the person, we get stuck and we cannot move on, and we hold the energy within ourselves.
And is it the same thing as saying that you can't maybe control what's happening, but you can control how you react?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how you do that separation of your. And then what about denial? People are in deep denial that they're in that place where they're not forgiving, right?
Well, if they keep denial,
then they keep holding on.
Keep holding on to that anger. If you think about emotion, it's energy in motion. We want to allow the energy to move through our body, like the gardening hose we talked about. Whether you put clean water or dirty water to the gardening hose, in order to let it go out, we need to let it flow. So we can't stop the energy within ourselves. We need to let it flow, even the negative emotions. And it's a process. It will take time.
Okay, and finally, if people keep bringing it up to you, so-and-so did that to you, remember that injustice, but you have already forgiven. You just say, I've forgiven it. I don't talk about that anymore.
Well, that's denial too. Some people say, I don't want to talk about it because they don't want to deal with the raw emotion.
Right.
But that's at that level that we can forgive, not the cognitive level, but the emotional level.
Okay, it's a difficult concept to grasp, but I think it's probably one of the most important, don't you, Dieter?
Forgiveness might not be about strength, it's about courage.
Okay, and it's a gift to yourself.
It's a gift of love to oneself.
Okay, well, thank you. You're a gift to us, Dieter.
Well, thank you.
Here on What Matters Most every Friday, and you can go to kplr11.com and learn more about this segment. Well, the Redbirds are on a